6:01, we're going to call the meeting to order at 6:01 and declare a board quorum is present. Tonight our invocation will be led by Mr. Jerry Atkins. No, oh, Mr. Ron Hart. And then our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Best Friend Elementary School students. Good. So please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity for us to gather and honor folks in our district who have done outstanding jobs. Regardless of the circumstances, faculty, staff, students step up, and we can't survive without that. We ask that you bless every family that's recommended or represented here. We ask that you go home with them, be safe, let everyone here know how great it is to have you in our life. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Good evening. Tonight our pledges are with Best Brandon Elementary School, led by Assistant Principal for the day, Mr. Nicholas Mayers. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the text of the flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Good job.
Good job. We'll now have awards and achievement recognition. If the board can move down, we'll turn it over to Ms. Clark.
Good evening.
Good evening, Superintendent Massey, Vice President Schwartner, board members, staff, and our guests. Thank you all for joining us this evening for our board meeting and specifically for our recognitions. Our first recognition will be given by our two assistant superintendents, Rita Cundiff and also Richard Jones.
Ms. Steamer, Dorsey Steamer, would you please come join Mr. Massey in the front? Dorsey Steamer is being recognized this evening as the Elementary Essential Educator of the Month for May. Dorsey was a graduate of Brazosport High School and began her career working with Brazosport ISD students as a substitute before starting her career at Velasco Elementary as a paraprofessional. While working at Velasco, Dorsey continued working on her certification. She went on to complete all of the teaching requirements and immediately began working in our district as a certified BEST teacher. This is her 7th year of teaching, which have all been in some of our most critical needs areas of special services. Mrs. Steamer continues to support students both in the academic setting and in the community. Mrs. Steamer's students are thankful that she helps them with math and appreciate her being there when they are sad because of losing a family member. We are thankful for Dorsey's dedication to BISD and appreciate her setting the standard for educational excellence. Congratulations, Mrs. Steamer.
Congratulate her as a science teacher from Brazosport High School. She previously served the district at Freeport Intermediate and is being recognized for her outstanding efforts at Brazosport High School. The instructional staff at Bport nominated Ms. Pittman for this recognition based on her daily efforts to engage students in challenging lessons and for building strong relationships with both students and staff at Brazosport. Mrs. Pittman's passion for her subject and her students is evident, and we are so proud to see her lead. As the AP Physics teacher at Freeport, she consistently pushes our highest achieving students to be better every day, and we are all appreciative of her efforts. Thank you for your dedicated work each day, and congratulations, Mrs. Pittman.
Sharon, you're blocking her husband, he can't see.
One, two, three, and another one, one, two, three. You got yours?
It is now my privilege to introduce our BISD Elementary Teacher of the Year. Ms. Lauer, will you please join Mr. Massey and the board at the front? Ms. Lauer is an educator that works collaboratively with her fourth grade team at Polk Elementary to ensure learning for all. She is the grade level lead for fourth grade. She continues to lead our fourth graders to success with STAR and is instrumental in Polk's success in achieving the 4-star distinction and A rating they were awarded last year. Ms. Lauer works diligently to enhance learning for her students. One example is an interactive event that she planned with a guest speaker from Kenya that allowed all of fourth grade students to experience learning Swahili and a little bit about the Kenyan culture. We are thankful for her campus leadership and willingness to help all staff and students succeed. Ms. Lauer goes above and beyond to build relationships with her students, both in the academic setting and by attending special events outside of the classroom. Congratulations, Mrs. Lauer, Elementary Teacher of the Year.
One, two, three, and another. One, two, three, thank you.
All right, Mr. Ingram, don't be shy. That's an oxymoron, if you haven't been, Mr. Ingram.
He's such a shy guy.
We're excited to recognize Mr. Darren Ingram as our BISD Secondary Teacher of the Year. Darren Ingram is a graduate of Brazosport High School and a former recipient of a Project Teach scholarship from Brazosport ISD. Mr. Ingram has served in several capacities and currently teaches history at Freeport Intermediate. Next year, Mr. Ingram will take on the role of Project Lead the Way teacher, also at FIS. Mr. Ingram creates positive relationships with students and creates an environment for positive educational discourse that brings awareness of history and different cultures. Mr. Ingram works to make a lasting impact on his community, state, and nation from his classroom. We are very proud of Mr. Ingram's work and excited to recognize him as the Secondary Teacher of the Year.
Where do you want me?
Everybody, one, two, three, and the second one.
It's now my pleasure to invite Miss Amy Poe, our Director of Fine Arts, to come up.
Good evening. Brazos Wood Senior Leland Jackson, if you'll come up here. Leland has been recognized by the Texas Music Educators Association for his skills on drum set, to earn a spot in the 2022 TMEA All-State Philharmonic Orchestra. The honor of All-State is earned by less than 3% of those who try out, with nearly 73,000 students beginning the audition process. Students participated in competitive auditions at the district, region, and area level to attain All-State membership, which is the highest honor that a Texas music student can receive. Of all the auditionees, Leland placed 5th in the state. Leland was invited to rehearse with other All-State musicians at this year's TMEA convention. At the conclusion of the convention, the All-State Philharmonic performed a concert for thousands of attendees. The event took place February 8th through 11th at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in San Antonio, Texas. The Texas Music Educator Association is the association of over 13,500 school music educators dedicated to promoting excellence in music education. Joining Leland tonight are 4 of his instructors that supported him throughout each audition. So Mr. Montoya, Head Director at Brazos Wood High School, if you want to come on up. Mr. Jeremiah Jones, Assistant Band Director and Percussion Instructor. Mr. DJ Eisenhart, Assistant Band Director and Jazz Instructor. And Mr. Peter Strauss, Assistant Band Director. Congratulations, Leland.
Mr. Whitehead, I'd like to call you to the podium.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Good evening. Secondary schools in Brazosport ISD utilize the socio-emotional learning techniques and classroom facilitation tools developed by Capturing Kids' Hearts. These are designed to pique student interest, establish agreements of behavior in the classroom, create high-performing groups, create more time on task, and increase student performance. Classrooms utilize collaboratively developed social contracts that outlines how people treat each other within the classroom. Each day begins with students having the opportunity to share good things going on in their lives, school, or community. Teachers communicate in a way that establishes connections with students and builds relevant connections with the contents they teach, as well as each day ends with a positive closure before leaving class. This month, we were notified that 4 BISD campuses were named Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase Schools. Tonight, we would like to recognize these campuses and their representatives from the campus for this outstanding achievement. First time ever, Brazos Wood High School main campus and Miss Rita Pintovale. H.E. Markham 9th Grade Center at Brazos Wood, Associate Principal Ms. Cheryl Roberts and Ms. Rita Pintovale. Our third campus name, Clute Intermediate School, Principal Ms. Tara Fulton. And last but certainly not least, Lanier Middle School, Principal Mr. Josh Laura, and Assistant Principal Ms. Tara Belote. outstanding accomplishment. Yeah.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
This does conclude our recognition for this evening. But we look forward to next month in June, because I know we'll have more.
Mr. Massey had to step out for a few minutes, but, Mr. Whitehead is more than capable of sitting here for a little bit, right? If I can, you can.
He's done it before.
Okay, at this time, we'll have, in accordance with BED local, the board will provide an audience with individuals who have signed up prior to the meeting. Tonight we have 2 people. Mr. Atkins will serve as our timekeeper for those requesting to speak. Comments are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker, with a maximum of 30 minutes total time allotted. Delegations of 5 or more persons shall be appointed representative to present their views before the board. The board will not entertain negative comments or on individual personnel or students in public session. Patrons are encouraged to use appropriate campus administration channels before bringing concerns to the attention of the board, and board members are not allowed to deliberate, discuss, or make decisions regarding any subject not included on the agenda. First person we have is Carla Harris.
I drink a lot, so that's my opening. Good evening, I'm Carla Harris. I'm a special education teacher at Brotherswood High School, but I did not come to you today as a special education teacher. I come to you today as a parent who is very concerned and who's fighting for her daughter and a program. When we moved to Brazosport ISD 7 years ago, one of the reasons we did was for the fine arts program at Brazosport. And we have a fine arts child. So when I say Brazosport ISD, our Brazosport ISD and Brazosport High School have my heart and soul. My 9th grade daughter is my heart and soul. Last week, I was told that Zoe Henderson, the assistant choir director at Brazosport, has been reassigned to Brazosport High School for a class of 13 students. She would also be traveling to Freeport Intermediate, Lanier Middle School, and SFA, all in the name of justifying her a job. Ms. Henderson told my daughter's 6th-period freshman choir class that she would not be back at Brazosport. Ms. Henderson was kind enough to let me know in advance because she knew it would be hurtful to my Bailey as well as to the rest of the girls. Why, you ask? Because Ms. Henderson has built a strong bond since August. A year ago, Ms. Henderson and Mr. Perez were hired to take over a program that was led by 2 very popular teachers. So to say that they had their work cut out for them is an understatement. No one likes change, including students. So to start the year off, it was difficult, but now relationships have been formed with our new directors. From all our CKH training and the Brazosport philosophy, relationships are what we're supposed to build with our students. And Ms. Henderson has been exceptional in doing this. So my questions for you. Number 1, why are we losing a choir director? Number 2, who made this final decision? I learned from school administration that the decision was made based on numbers, but that's all I was told. I asked who looked at the numbers, and I was not told who looked at the numbers. So I emailed Ms. Pope, who is head of fine arts, and heard back from her this morning about the numbers.
And she said the numbers did not justify 2 teachers. So let's talk numbers. I spoke with Coach Carey. The Brazos Swift football program has 19 coaches and 200 athletes. That's a 10.5 students to 1 coach ratio. Now, before I'm dismissed, as I don't know what it takes to run a football program, I'm a daughter of an All-American football coach, All-American football player at Rice. I've been a coach, I was a college athlete, and I'm married to a coach. Now, granted, he's only coached golf while he's been here, but he's coached all sports in the small schools. So from 2-a-days all the way through to baseball season. Let me go over those numbers again. The ratio is 10.5 to 1 in football. Our band program has 200 students with 5 full-time directors, which comes out to 40 students to 1 director. Once again, I know the hours that these people put in. So our number there is 40 to 1. And before you think, oh, it's just choir, remember my heart and soul that I mentioned earlier? Choir is her life. She wants to be a vocal performance major at Baylor. I and my husband are fortunate enough to have the luxury of hiring a vocal coach for Bailey, but many students do not. These choir directors have spent countless hours with these students to prepare them for trying out for TMEA All-State. We had 13 students qualify and sing in the region choir, and of those 13 students, only 4 had private vocal coaches. This music is difficult, to say the least, and takes hours of practice. Not group practice, but individual practice. So getting 13 people into a region choir is amazing, because Mr. Perez and Ms. Henderson were responsible for preparing 9 of those students that did not have private vocal coaches, as well as working with the other 4 that did. So let's talk about what our choir directors do. We have 4 concerts throughout the year. The TMEA All-State competition that starts in the fall and continues until February. In the spring semester, they prepare choirs for the UIL competition and then the solo and ensemble contest. Let's not forget the choir directors' work with the theater directors that put on a fabulous musical. It was incredible. If you missed it, it was Grease. The concert we just had Friday night had 16 solos, duets, and trios, along with 5 different choirs performing. And to that, our directors added choreography. All of this is done by having sectional rehearsals, extra choir rehearsals, and individual practices with the soloists and ensembles. That doesn't count the hours that go into choosing music for each student, each choir, and each performance. If you know nothing about choir, it is best to have a person that works with specific voice parts that the student has, such as my daughter is a soprano. So Mr. Perez is not the ideal candidate to work with her on her voice part. I'm not saying it can't be done, but Mr. Perez is not a soprano. And my daughter, or he can't voice the soprano part for my daughter to copy that. Once again, I've been blessed because I can afford lessons, but many cannot. So let's go back to the numbers. Remember, football is 10.5 to 1, band is 40 to 1, and now we're a choir. Our current enrollment in choir is 116 students. That's a ratio of 58 students to 1 director. When I emailed Ms. Pope about the choir numbers after she gave me the 109 students on roll, she added, and I quote, "That number will drop due to scheduling conflicts once the schedule is finalized. This number does not support the need for a director and an assistant." My question is, what if our numbers go up? Where are we going to be then? Don't forget, a female teacher works better with a female voice part. And as you saw, as our band student, most of our choir students' goals make TMEA All-State. It is difficult, to say the least, because you're preparing them for music, for individual, you're getting used to them to perform, you're running sectionals, you've got competitions, and you look at 109, most teachers would love to just have 109 students during the day. That would be fabulous. But choir is not just during the day. When Ms. Henderson was told originally about the position, she was told she would strictly be going to Brazosport High School and FIS. While meeting the principal at Brazosport, she was told I misspoke. She would also have to teach at Lanier and SFA, and it was questionable whether she would receive a travel stipend. She was informed by Mr. Quentin Virgil that she would have a year to turn the Brazosport program around, or she would be teaching NTC classes. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think I would want to work for someone that told me that. Ms. Henderson was hired to be the assistant director at Brazosport High. That's why she came to Brazosport, and that's why she moved. How many? 1 minute. Ooh, let me skip down. Our numbers have steadily dropped. A big reason, LJI has been without a choir director since semester. They've been writing essays and doing worksheets in choir class. Would you still want to be in choir if you were writing essays and doing worksheets? So yes, our numbers have dropped. Ms. Henderson cannot be effective in teaching at 4 different campuses. So after she was told that she could turn a choir program around or teach in TC, I'm not sure if Ms. Henderson wants to come back. I cannot speak for her. Here at Brazosport ISD, I know in my classroom that my kids are not numbers. And if we're looking at it this way, you're looking at kids as numbers. Ms. Henderson deals in heartbeats, not numbers.
Thank you.
Bailey Harris.
Good evening, everyone. I've come forward to you today to address the current situation of Brazosport High School's choir program. As you likely know, our assistant choir director, Zoe Henderson, has been relocated to Brazosport High School. I think this decision will hurt our program at Brazosport High School stupendously. Ms. Henderson has truly helped everyone in every choir class grow, not only as a musician, but as a person. Ms. Henderson is such an inspiration and is so kind to all students that she meets. Ms. Henderson has also grown quite close to all the girls during choir with me. My choir class, in particular, is like a family, and without Ms. Henderson, we're missing a big part of that family. Ms. Henderson has also helped me personally. I feel as if I can go to her with issues that don't relate to music. She's extremely easy to talk to and so helpful, just like any good teacher should be. Also, attempting to manage 5 or 6 choir classes at a time seems unattainable at a high school level. I know what you're thinking. Regular teachers manage 7 or 8 classes all at once. It's different with a choir. You must pick out music, learn said music, make your students learn the music, add dynamics like crescendos and decrescendos, and also insert vowels and consonants are in point. I believe this is a lot for one choir director to do at any school on a high school level, because the pieces will already be quite difficult, especially if pieces are in another language, which they most often are. Another thing that is worth noting is the difference between female and male voice parts. It is much easier to work with a choir director who has the same voice type as you, so the change in directors would damage the girl side of the program detrimentally. Going into choir this year, I was terrified. I was not happy about my choir placement, and being a freshman in a brand new program was scary. But Ms. Henderson turned something bad into something so good that I would not have wanted to be anywhere else. So I'm asking you to please keep her in Brazosport.
consent agenda, the next item on our agenda is consent agenda. Are there any items requested to be pulled from the consent agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
I have a motion by Mr. Atkins and a second by Ms. Patty Sayes. All those, any comments? Hearing none, we have, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, action items. Guaranteed maximum price for Polk Elementary and Madge Griffith Elementary. Ms. Rebecca Kelly.
Good evening. In alignment with Board Policy CVE, it is my pleasure to present a guaranteed maximum price for the construction of the additional stacking lanes at Polk Elementary and Griffith Elementary. This is a rendering of the proposed plan to extend the parent drop-off and pickup driveway at Madge Griffith Elementary. It is approximately 1,250 linear feet of triple stack lanes with an additional 250 feet for merging to the student access point. This would allow for approximately 180 cars, which is 110 more cars than what's available for now for stacking. From the data collection in the traffic study, there are approximately 210 total vehicles that exit the parent pickup from the school in the PM peak hours. Then also in the rendering is an addition of a parking lot that will park 20 additional cars. We will extend the current detention pond on this site to meet the drainage requirement. And then over at Polk Elementary, this is a rendering of the proposed plan. It will convert and extend the existing bus access driveway to a double-stacked lane. The existing parent access driveway would then become the bus access driveway. This plan is approximately 1,100 linear feet of double-stacked lanes with an additional 160 feet for merging to the student access point. This would allow for approximately 106 cars, which is 81 more than they can currently stack. From the data collection in the traffic study, it was observed that 107 vehicles exit the parent pickup during the PM peak hours. It was also observed that about 40 vehicles stack along the Otto-Bonwood Drive and Mayhem Street. The city has reviewed this plan and has actually shared that it would allow the city to keep the regular flow of traffic on that front driveway versus making it one-way during our current dismissal time. To accommodate the bus turning radius, we will also extend the concrete entrance in the front. The city has just recently completed the expansion of the concrete drainage ditch alongside the north side of the Polk site. So we're able to tie into that and meet the drainage requirements. After several months of planning, BLK Architects have completed the plan drawings and all of the construction documents. The district's construction manager at risk, Stewart Builders, has provided a guaranteed maximum price of $1,472,994. The base construction budget in the bond planning was $1.5 million. The overall budget for this project, including development, is $1,665,000, and our total estimated all-in cost is $1,623,110, which is $41,890 under budget. This is just the budget to actual analysis, and then both of these projects will be completed before school starts in August. So it is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the GMP of $1,472,994 from Stewart Builders for the construction of the new stacking lanes at Polk and Griffith Elementary. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
You said there was 210 cars
That exit Griffith.
and 100 and...
It'll stack 180 at 22 to 25 feet apart. And so the average parking spot's about 18 foot long, and so if they get a little closer, they'll all be off the roadway. If not, there will be some overflow if all 210 stack at the same time. But the traffic study recommended 4,000 linear feet and 180 cars. So that's what we're building to.
But my question was 210 at Griffith and only 109 at Polk.
Yes, sir.
Is there that much difference?
Walkers, I guess.
Enrollment?
Walkers, bus riders.
Yeah, but it just doesn't seem pretty drastic. Okay.
doing a big hockey stick, whatever that is? Why aren't we going at an angle there off the parking lot to the curb on the bottom? You see how we kind of go up and down? Why are we putting a hard right there? Why don't we just go
Or just make it straight, take that curve
straight
out.
or just go to the corner? I don't,
Well, you wouldn't, you lose cars.
Mr. Journey,
you may
you
lose
said
a few
something
cars,
then?
but probably gain a few less
There's a
opportunities to have
detention pond
wrecks.
there.
Detention pond,
Yes.
that we're
Oh, there's a detention pond there?
working
There's
around, thank
already-
you.
There's already one there, and we're gonna be expanding it, so that's why it curves
Oh, okay.
around that.
Oh, yeah, we love you. That's fun.
But they're gonna be going very slow, so it was the best use of the real estate.
Yeah, sure. That's gonna be, didn't be 3 wide?
Yes,
Yes.
it's currently 3 wide coming in there.
Okay. Any, comments from the public? Any other board members? We have a motion, or a recommendation? We have a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the GMP as presented.
Motion. Motion to approve, by Mr. Atkins and second by Ms. Patty Sayes. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Course offering and addition and changes. Mr. Cole.
Good evening. In accordance with Local and Bradsport ISD Goal 1, Bradsport ISD will provide a rigorous and relevant learning experience to ensure that every student will be future ready. I am pleased to present 2 courses for approval for next school year. These course changes were initiated by our high schools for next year as we aim to meet the varying needs of our students. The first course is Digital Arts and Animation. This course would provide another CTE-funded fine art credit for graduation. The only other option within CTE is the popular Floral Design course. Floral Design is in the agricultural pathway, and this pathway as a whole is projected to see an increase of over 100 students for course enrollment next school year. There's currently not enough capacity to meet demand in the agricultural pathway without making some changes. Digital Arts and Animation is in the graphic design pathway, which is projected to see a decline of over 70 students for course enrollment next year. Offering digital arts and animation would result in more students in the graphic design pathway in future years, while likely improving the needed capacity within the growing agricultural pathway, as some art-only students are in floral and would likely take digital arts and animation instead. The second course being proposed is Methodology for Academic and Personal Success. It is an innovative course that is aligned with our College Admissions Readiness and Preparation, commonly called CARP, which is currently taught at Bradsport High School by Mrs. Day. It will allow us to offer state credit towards graduation instead of local credit only. Neither of these course offerings will incur additional costs as existing resources can be utilized. The administration recommends that the board approve the new course request as presented, and at this time I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any board questions?
Yeah, what's the end number with the second one?
That is a state PEMS code. The N symbolizes as innovative, and all innovative courses require board approval before they can be provided, which is why I'm including the number up here.
So N's for innovative.
Yes, N for innovative.
We have this course at Bradsport, right?
Correct.
Similar?
Yes, sir. This essentially lets us tie that course, which is only for local credit, to a state credit for which kids will receive graduation credit.
You said that visual arts is going to lose 70 next year, but will this keep those 70 in?
This will definitely help move more students towards the graphic design and arts pathway, since the numbers have dropped significantly. All kids are required to get a fine art, and by providing an additional CTE elective, we would likely see those numbers increase. Don't exactly know where it would land, but it would definitely improve, it would increase the number of students for sure.
And this essentially does the same thing as floral arranging, is that you get both an art and a CT at the same time, correct?
Correct.
Huh? What's up, choir? Choir's not going away. There's no choir. Still have choir. Great. Any other questions from the public?
Real quick, I know over the past 3 or 4 years since they instituted that program at Bradsport High School, the degree applications and opportunities for scholarships for the kids there has increased. Their valedictorian is going to Notre Dame on a full ride. And it's all, a very, very integral part was Kathy Day stepping in and teaching these kids how to write an essay, how to fill out an application, because having graded and been on the scholarship committees for several different organizations, it was sad prior to this program being activated and really instituted, what those folks over there had to, what they didn't know, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And now, they have opportunities, they have kids going everywhere, Baylor, Rice, Notre Dame, engineering, whatever they want to do. I think, hopefully, this will grow on both campuses even more so. I think it's really beneficial, and we need to look at it, because being in a former classroom, I had a girl one time come in and said, "Coach, could you write me 35 letters of reference?" I said, "I don't know 35 colleges." No, I didn't tell her that, but the point is, they have the opportunity to narrow it down and decide what's best for them. They learn how to decide what's best for them. And so I think this is truly, truly important. And I'll make the motion that we approve these two course changes.
Do I have a second? Second by,
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
No, we have
We have a second, so we're good, we can still do discussion.
Is there a reason we hadn't offered this prior?
I have to look at exactly when this innovative course became available. When we first designed this course, we didn't find an innovative course to tie it to, but now that there's innovative courses there, we looked at the opportunity to be able to go. One of the barriers at other campuses, and even at Brazosport, is it wasn't a state credit. So this allows us, though we've seen some success, this allows us to eliminate one of those barriers by making sure that it's for state credit.
Okay, thanks.
I have a motion to approve by Mr. Reinhardt and a second by Ms. Cuellar. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
No problem. Now to reports. The bond planning and construction update. You got moved up to the front. That's right. Moving up in the world.
Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy CV Local, it's my pleasure to present the planning and construction update for the 2019 bond program. As of May 2023, we've got 72.23% completed or in progress. This is a aerial view that was taken at Hopper Field last week, and you can see the front entry is moving along very well, and then the concession stand and restroom additions towards the back, and then the visitor side concession and storage building on the left. This was taken on Friday. We now have the letters up at the entry, and those letters are lighted. And also the logos are now placed on the front of the ticket building. This, we're hoping to have the wrought iron fencing up before graduation. Hopefully it'll start going in this week. So the front entry will be cleared, with the exception of the fencing that you see. It should be pushed back a little bit, but we've got to protect, there's a concrete lip right there at the parking lot before you get to the concession stand building. There's some reworking on the parking that we have to do to make that safe. This is the concession stand and restroom additions. That's moving along very well. We've got concrete that'll be going in place soon, and then hopefully the roof will get put on that building soon, but it will be ready before football season. Over at Brazosport High School, this is the aerial view of the entire campus. You can see the field house down at the bottom, and then the CTE work that's going on the left-hand side. This is looking from the levee towards the front entry of the building, and where all the windows are is the weight room. And then this is looking from the other opposite direction. And then that's looking from the back of the campus. this is, after you go through the security vestibule, that's the reception window on the right. And that's the head coach's office. That's the weight room. And then that's the main corridor with the, weight room on the right-hand side. And then a display which will be installed on the, just beyond that in that, recessed area. And then all the windows that are in the corridor looking into the weight room. And this is the training room. And this is the wet storage where the ice machines and such will be. And then this is the varsity storage. Both of those areas have overhead doors that go to the exterior. And this is one of the group coaches' offices. And this is the girls' locker room area. And that's the varsity football locker room. Over at CTE, we are now well underway on our construction. This slide shows in the front, all the concrete in front of the existing building has been removed, and they're doing a lot of utility work and utility relocates. And on the back, they are starting on the, there's a ton of utility work back there where the new shop building will go. And then this is just an overhead view. And then, thank you for approving Polk and Griffith stacking lanes earlier. And these are just the same slides that Rebecca already had in her presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
It looks good.
Any comments from the board?
Those logos look a lot better in person than that picture.
Yes, they do.
They look.
Everything does. It's hard to get it right in the picture, so.
It catches your eye when you're going past it.
Any other questions or comments? Anything from the public? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The next one is Enrich ED, Pathways, K-12 teacher registration, apprenticeship program update. Ms. Krista Kirschner.
Good evening. In alignment with Board Policy DC Local and Board Goal 5, the ISD will recruit, develop, and retain highly effective staff. It is my pleasure to provide a program update and formally introduce the newly branded K-12 Teacher Registered Apprenticeship Program at Brazosport ISD as Enriched Pathways. I would like to start by sharing background information regarding the fundamental aspects of registered apprenticeship. Registered apprenticeship programs have the opportunity to address employer-driven needs by upskilling and attracting new talent to the profession, and they offer high growth, high demand, high skill, high wage, and an opportunity to earn a family-sustaining wage. Building on equity, access, and engagement, apprenticeships partner employers and sponsors to provide training and development, and implement intentional efforts to attract and retain highly qualified employees. At BISD, the RAP partnership is a community-based solution that seeks to support sustainable talent pipelines and expanded pathways to develop teachers with a commitment to understand and remove barriers that have impacted one's ability to successfully enter into the teaching profession. Offering prospective teachers, including paraprofessionals, career changers, and high school or college students, the chance to work in the classroom and have full-time employment while completing their preparation to become a teacher. The RAP provides multiple entrances with scaffolded support into the teaching profession, also known as on-ramps at Brazosport ISD, which are designed to meet people where they are in their college and professional journey. The bubble diagram here is just a recap of where we are after year one. We have currently 65 apprentices, with 26 in on-ramp 2, 16 in on-ramp 3, and 23 in on-ramp 4, and those 23 will exit the program as certified teachers this year. 77% of our apprentices at Brazosport ISD are seeking certification in critical need areas. 55% are demographically diverse, and 32% are current employees who have the opportunity to upskill and provide developmental opportunities to become a teacher. I have two new bubbles added to the top right. Brazos ISD has been awarded a 3-year grant in the amount of $1.9 million from the Houston Endowment to support existing funding gaps, program development, and resources needed to fully scale the apprenticeship program, all while our work continues to identify sustainable funding opportunities to meet the needs of the apprentices and the program. In addition to the identified funding shared, BISD, I missed one, I'm so sorry. At the bottom right, you'll see that we have almost $500,000 that have been unlocked workforce development dollars through a partnership with Texas Workforce Commission for eligible apprentices. And then, in addition, Brazosport ISD supported Brazosport College's Department of Labor application for the Strengthening Community Colleges Training Grant that was awarded in February in an amount of $1.6 million that will award eligible apprentices funding towards their tuition and fees and training of up to $4,000 a year in a scaled approach over a 4-year period. Combined workforce development and grant funds, we've identified approximately $4 million during our first year of inception of the program. This slide provides an update on programs currently, of the program current development and glimpse of the timeline to welcome our second cohort and year 2 launch of the program. With grant funds, Brazosport ISD has hired 2 positions to support the program refinement and the implementation and tracking of the program. Ms. Rebecca Hampton, who is here on our front row, is joining us tonight as Director of Teacher Apprenticeship and Workforce Development. And starting with Brazosport ISD in July is Ms. Jennifer Farmer, who will be serving as the success coach supporting each of our apprentices in the district. We are excited to be recruiting for our second cohort as we speak, and prepared to make final offers by May 26th of 2023. You'll see in the center column, the yellow, we had 97 applicants apply to the apprenticeship job posting. For round 1, were virtual interviews. We interviewed over 83 candidates. Round 2, we had face-to-face interviews last week, and we conducted 53 interviews. And we will make those decisions by May 26th of this month, in alignment with our on-ramp progression for our current apprentices to understand, their progression to the next on-ramp and the successful completion of their courses, their training, and overall performance at Brazosport ISD. On the bottom of this slide, you'll see we have a timeline for the coming months and then year 2 launch. We are currently, that first box by May 29th, we're currently evaluating our standards and competencies outlined with the DOL application and updating requirements to NTASC standards. NTASC standards describe a continuum of effective teaching practices that, when enacted, leads to improved student achievement. These standards have strong alignment to institutions of higher education and alternative certification providers. Once aligned, the micro-credentials and on-the-job training will also be updated to reflect these standards and competencies. By June 30th, we plan to have fully evaluated our RTI providers, also known as Related Training and Instruction Providers, and we will take a closer look on the next slides. Another key date to point out is our kickoff of year 2 and onboarding of cohort 2, which is tentatively scheduled for July 27th. So moments ago, I mentioned the NTASC standards and alignment. So this is a high-level overview of the NTASC standards and the alignment to the program competencies. You will see the NTASC standards aligned in the center of the screen, with the learning strands aligned to each standard. Our micro-credentials will be aligned similarly, and each on-ramp will incorporate these competencies in their learning and will progress in skill development in subsequent on-ramps. So we'll continue to scaffold those skills as the apprentice becomes or prepares to transition into their residency experience. The skills in the red boxes out this circle are soft skills: communication, collaboration, utilization of technology, and critical thinking that will be entwined within the micro-credentials for each on-ramp to best prepare our apprentices for the classroom. As I I shared moments ago, RTI providers are related training and instruction providers who support the apprentices with their requirements to obtain the two requirements to become teacher, their bachelor's degree and teacher certification in our apprenticeship. The growth and development of our apprentices depend on the richness and academic, emotional, and financial support we provide throughout the multi-year apprenticeship program. Partnering with a variety of institutions of higher education and educator preparation programs offers several advantages to each of our apprentices and increases the ability of employers to provide personalized, flexible options to meet their needs. The universities, in the top box on the right-hand side of your screen, are current partners for apprentices in On-Ramp 4. Bradford ISD has recently awarded the TEA grant for Grow Your Own, which will also be able to utilize these universities for On-Ramp 3 candidates and On-Ramp 4, but also to anyone who's conferred their bachelor's degree. The TEA Grow Your Own grant will support tuition and salary stipends to selected apprentices in those on-ramps, and also through an approved ACT, and will also provide resources for our high school CTE pathway as a part of the grant application. In addition, expanding these RTI providers increases the opportunities to collectively leverage funding sources to offer low-cost, no-cost pathways that are individualized to meet the needs of each apprentice. For example, if a grant opportunity was available for institutions of higher education or an approved educator preparation program, community college, residency program on the vetted teacher residency list, the partnership will be positioned to explore and apply for those opportunities to support the funding needs of the program and each of our apprentices. I'm excited to share that on May 11th, Brazosport ISD received notification from the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Apprenticeships that we have been officially approved as an apprentice ambassador. We'll begin utilizing the Apprenticeship Ambassador logo on our website and materials related to Brazosport ISD apprenticeship program. And part of our requirement, or in our application, ambassadors they're approved as a 2-year commitment and are required to meet annual commitments supporting apprenticeships. In year 1, Brazosport ISD will hold a minimum of 2 outreach and recruitment activities to build within the program, and 2, launch 1 registered apprenticeship initiative, which would be, we would facilitate learning opportunities, sharing how teaching apprenticeships offer unprecedented opportunities to shift teaching norms across the nation. And I'd like to take a moment just to recognize Ms. Andrea Dixon and Mr. Becca Hansen here on the front row for their dedication and commitment to developing high-quality teachers, and most importantly, their connection with each apprentice at Brazosport ISD. So thank you. And at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I noticed, you had 97 interviews originally. You went down to 53. Do you have a set quota or what you will accepted in the program? Is there a set number that you allow, or how does that work?
So our goal will be to maintain between 65 and 75 apprentices throughout each of the, collectively within each one. So we started with 97 applicants. We interviewed 83 for virtual, and 53 were selected. So we hope to select about 35, which would really compensate for the apprentices that exit the program from On-Ramp 4 this year.
This is with the second group?
Yes.
Correct.
So we'll maintain between 65 and 75 apprentices in year 2.
Perfect. Any other questions?
But we have more than that now. We have the 4, we're gonna lose 23, right? So, let me go back. For what Joe asked about the 53, or I guess would go down to 30 or whatever, are those all on ramp 1 or on ramp, or are they spread out?
So they're balanced, after, let me go backwards. Sorry. So we have 26 apprentices in On-Ramp 2 currently, 16 in apprentices in On-Ramp 3, and then the 23 in On-Ramp 4.
Yeah, they like that, but of the new ones coming in, are they all going to be on ramp 1?
No, sir. So they will be, so they're all at different stages as well. For example, 20 of the And so they're seeking that year-long residency experience, so they would move into on-ramp 4 based on their education journey and placement into the program.
So if all 16 go from 3 to 4, and we add 20, we'll have 36 teacher credits. We better get some more money somewhere.
We're working on it. I just shared the $4 million, Mr. Atkins.
Well, that's higher. If they're good enough, we got
Yeah,
higher.
so we are actively, and Ms. Dixon is, sharing their credentials and our experience within the program across campuses, and administrators are currently interviewing and selecting our current apprentices for vacancies as we speak.
So the 23 that now are in on-ramp 4, that seems like a twisted word, in on-ramp.
So they're in their residency.
Yeah. So what are they doing right now?
So right now, they're partnered with their mentor teacher,
Okay.
right? So one-on-one in the year-long residency, and they are meeting the requirements of their alt certification program, right? So completing SCPA, their certification test, meeting our micro-credentials, and developing in that space aligned to that clinical experience.
So do we anticipate all 23 having their certification ready to move on?
Yes, we have 3 actually where we have some, they're bilingual, and so we're working through some testing strategies to support their needs, but the rest will all be prepared for teacher certification. Correct? I believe that's what we're doing.
So just each of the on-ramps, are we losing some? Is this a current number, 65, 26, 16?
Yes, so we could lose some, so we'll start identifying that throughout our one-on-one meetings with them. But some might also stay where they are based on their college, what they've earned this year in college, that they didn't earn enough credit hours.
Oh.
For example, if they're in on-ramp 2 to progress into on-ramp 3, so we'll be looking at all of those pieces collectively, as well as getting feedback from their campus administrators related to their performance for continuation in the program.
So of the new ones here, the 65, do we anticipate all of them, or do you think some of them are going to say, this is not for me after 1 year, and the number dropping some?
I really anticipate them all to stay, if it was their choice, right? But we have great reviews and great feedback in terms of their progression and experience this year, so. I say that and I look to the right and I'm seeing some nods, yes.
As part of this program, if they go through this program, do they have to work for us first as part of the program?
A minimum of 3 years,
That's right,
or
yeah.
they have to repay back anything that we have contributed in terms of their
Investment.
education or training.
Good. Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Lucy, go.
Nope.
Oh.
All
Anything
right.
from the public? It's a great program.
Thank you.
Thanks for all y'all's hard work.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats on all y'all's recognition as well.
Thank you.
All right, next item is the 2024 budget planning update. Ms. Rebecca Kelly.
That's a tough act to follow, Ms. Kirschner. Let's talk about budget. So, in alignment with district goal that Brazosport ISD will exercise fiscal responsibility to ensure the financial strength and secure the resources to equip and maintain quality facilities and educational programming, tonight it is my pleasure to provide an update on the 2024 budget development process. It is hard to believe that we are in May. We started this process back in January. Tonight I just have a pretty brief update, and I do anticipate that the June report will be much longer as we incorporate the changes in revenue as a result of any legislation that makes it out of the regular 88th legislative session. We should also be able to present the 2024 compensation plan next month as well. And then the budget must be prepared by August 7th and adopted by August 21st. The Brazoria County Appraisal District did publish property values, and the district has received estimated preliminary values. These values do not represent any adjustments from protests. The chief appraiser has indicated that they do anticipate a record number of protests after property owners saw record level increases in their appraisals. And so again, these numbers are estimated preliminary values. We will receive preliminary certified values in July. And so the actual, if we look at the M&O taxable values for 2023, they came in at $12.6 billion. Certified values from 2022 that were used for adopting the 23 budget were at 10.4. Those were the numbers we received last July. And then the actual final certified values that were submitted to the comptroller were 10.3 billion. So the increase in M&O values in 2023 compared to the amounts that we used for budget last year is an increase of $2.2 billion, which is a 21% increase across the board in our M&O values. On the debt service side, INS taxable values are estimated at $23 billion, which is a $1.77 billion increase over the certified taxable values used last year when we adopted the budget. That is an 8.34% increase. The chart at the bottom shows the assessed market and taxable values by for four of the major categories. For 2023, there are there are 19,981 single-family residences with a taxable value of $3.9 billion, which is up 113 residences, or $769 million from 2022. The total number of homestead exemptions went down from 13,583 in 2022 to 13,120 in 2023. There are 247 multifamily residences, which is down 3 from 2022, but an increase in total taxable value of $278 million. Commercial real property is down 24 total to 1,410 properties, and the total taxable value also went up by $625.5 million. And then industrial and manufacturing is up a total of 3 to 196, with an increase in taxable value of $465 million. So these four categories account for 97% of the M&O value. There are two components when calculating what an individual tax bill is. The values, which we just reviewed, and then the other is the tax rate. The district does not directly or indirectly influence or set market or taxable values. The district does, however, set and adopt the tax rate. So this slide shows the district's adopted tax rate since 2018. In this period of time, the district has reduced the tax rate by 12.23 cents. House Bill 3 from the 86th legislative session did allow districts to compress local tax rates as the property values increased. It does set a maximum compressed tax rate to ensure that there is equity across the state. We will continue to reduce the M&O tax rate as permitted under current law, and then we're following the legislation in the current session that could provide some additional compression. So if we talk about the INS side, our current rate has remained flat, which is what we committed to when we passed the 2014 and 2019 bond programs. We currently have $343.5 million in outstanding debt principal and $90 million in outstanding interest obligations, all of which will expire between 2034 and 2042. When issuing the bond, we set a very conservative repayment schedule to ensure that we could keep that INS tax rate flat. With values increasing, we do have some additional capacity and can pay off the debt at a faster pace, saving the taxpayers millions of dollars over the next 10 to 20 years. If we take the residential increase that we just saw, $769 million, and we divide it by the total number of properties, 19,981, the average increase is $38,500 for a homeowner. At our current year tax rate, that would be an increase of $436 to their total tax bill. Of the $436, $82 is what we levy for the INS side, or the debt service obligation. So $354 prior to House Bill 3 in the 86th legislative session would have been recaptured by the state of Texas to reduce its share of funding for public education. In the 86th legislative session, as previously stated, House Bill 3 did allow districts to compress its tax rate some. But what what we have seen is the compression hasn't been enough to keep up with property value growth. So for our annual general fund budget, we currently, the provisions of the school funding formula set the target revenue, we still call it target revenue, based on the number of students that we serve in average daily attendance, plus some special program population funding. We have two primary revenue sources, local M&O property taxes, which are the little red dollar signs, and state funding, which are the green dollar signs. As the local property taxpayers pay more, the state's contribution goes less. So if this graphic actually worked and I clicked the button, the red little dollar signs would go up and one of the green dollar signs would fall off. So as our local taxpayers are paying more, the state is ultimately contributing less. And so the state said that they plan to appropriate $15 billion of the surplus to provide some additional tax compression. Both the House and the Senate have had several opinions on providing property tax relief, but we should have more by the end of this month if they can get it out of regular session. And so at your seat, I printed you a detailed copy of the budget reductions identified to date. A summary is presented here. Consolidating Nay and with the other Lake Jackson elementary schools, and then consolidating Velasco and Lanier will save just over $1 million. We have identified and reduced $684,650 in administrative and central office positions. Campus staffing reductions based on enrollment and student selection is $1.4 million. We have reduced $325,000 in supplemental pay, $66,000 in campus discretionary budget, $347,000 in curriculum resources that we can fund next year out of the instructional materials allotment, and then $468,000 have been reduced from department discretionary budgets. We do have some additional expenditures, $642,000 in additional special education teachers and support. We have adjusted the elementary assistant principal ratio to 600 to 1, which will cost $225,000, and then some special education day school supports of $73,000, and then department increases for fixed costs like utilities are just under $120,000. So right now, the net budget reduction that we have identified is $3,269,098. So in summary, we do project revenue to decrease based on current law, just under $1 million. We have an adopted deficit in the current year of $10.4 million. We have reductions of $3.27 million. And so based on the reductions thus far, the projected adopted deficit we would have would be $8.2 million. This is before reducing contingencies and before allocating any additional revenue from House Bill 100, and then before approving compensation increases. So $8.2 million right now is where we would stand as an adopted deficit. We do currently have $55.7 million in unassigned fund balance. We're projected to close this year with a $9.5 or $10 million deficit. So we would have about $8.3 million in excess fund balance after we close this year. And right now, that on-paper deficit projected for next year would be 8.2. So I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Do you have any questions from the board? The values is interesting, at least.
Yeah, we talked a little bit last board meeting about that in the failed property study that.
Has that, have we heard back on the,
I got the preliminary results and they've made some adjustments, but it's not final yet, so we're not all the way there.
I mean, you know, some of those groups are 40+% increases, so.
The Senate has a different approach than the House does in terms of capping the homestead increase, but we shall see what they do.
There was one know what I was gonna ask. On the buy down from the 47 billion that they have in excess, how is that gonna play in year two?
Say that again?
How does that play in year two? Because they can't buy that down every year. I mean, is that a 2-year buy down, or is it a 1-year buy down?
I don't know.
Because that goes away after 1 year, so is the compression gonna roll back onto our tax roll? I mean, to our rate?
I
Well,
mean,
they'll budget for 2 years.
yeah,
They'll budget for 2 years. After the 2 years,
yeah.
It'll be a free-for-all.
yeah.
But in reality, they're only buying, all the other compressions have been paid for, through general fund, and so it hasn't been surplus money, correct?
Correct.
And
Yeah,
so
but
this
they're,
one's a surplus one, and so there's not gonna be.
well, they got a current
anything-
biennium surplus, and then based on the comptroller's projections, they're working with a lot more for the next biennium as well.
Already?
So, what happens past that, I don't know that I
I
can
mean,
predict.
yeah, sales and use tax has been
Yeah.
up, 10+%
Right.
year over year for the last 2.5 years. And severance taxes is
Yeah.
still going well. Yeah, because that's the risk, right, is they're gonna buy down,
More than they can fund.
20 cents, and then in 2 years, we're gonna have a 20% increase, or 20 cents.
And then our property value will continue to rise.
They ain't going down. All right, any questions from the public?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is the Board of Trustees training hours, and I have that. There's a lot of good reading. Do I have to read this word for word? Can I highlight? Can we highlight? Or can I read it? We'll read it. All right, the Board President's annual announcement on continuing education of board members. Under State Board of Education rule, completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As acting board president for tonight, I am required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required training, has exceeded the required training, and is in deficit in meeting the required training. Requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of the trustee's election or appointment to a 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 8 training areas for board members for continuing education: local, district orientation, orientation, Texas Education Code, post-legislative update, team building, which we're doing tonight, the gallons up there, additional continuing education, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals, identifying, reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children, school safety. To the extent applicable, each board member, I will announce the completion or deficiency of as to required training. For members who still have time remaining to complete the required training, I will announce those board members who have scheduled timely training and those who have not yet scheduled the training. At the conclusion of the announcement, I will announce any board members training in excess of continuing education, which we have a few. There were no new board members, and the current board were not required to complete. The following board members were not required, but completed post-legislative updates to Texas Education Code training: Mason Howard and Jerry Atkins. The following board members have not completed the annual team building training, but we are scheduled to do so tonight, May 15th. Mason Howard, Scott Schwartner, Jerry Atkins, Joe Reinhardt, Liz Cuellar, Patty Sage, and Chris Dunn. The following board members have completed the additional 5 hours of continuing education: Mason Howard, Scott Schwartner, Jerry Atkins, Joe Reinhardt, Liz Cuellar, and Chris Dunn. The following board member is deficient in meeting the additional 5 hours by 1 hour of continuing education: Ms. Patty Sage. All board members met the required hours and have completed the biennial training on evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. There were no board members required to meet the biennial training on identifying, reporting abuse, and trafficking. All board members completed the biennial training on school safety. The following board members exceeded the required amount of continuing education. Board member Mason Howard exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 11 hours. Mr. Jerry Atkins exceeded it by 33.25 additional hours. He's good for the next 10 years. Board member Joe Reinhardt exceeded by 2.25. Good job.
I'm overachieving.
I mean, not 33 and a quarter, but close. Board member Liz Cuellar exceeded the requirement in continuing education by 9 hours. Great job. Good job. Chris Dunn exceeded and required the amount of continuing education by 9 additional hours. I must have hit 5. Exactly. That concludes my report. Any questions? Concerns?
Can I
Do what? Yeah, Jerry, he can give up to the 5 hours. He'll tell you, he'll sit down with you for an hour if you want, just anyway, learn. All right, do we have anybody from the our public want to comment on that? Trios, you have anything you want to say about that?
You did a great job, Jerry.
Thank you. Any board committee reports? Anybody? Congrats to Mrs. Pinabali. I had to go to the parade this morning. She's a Hall of Fame member now. Johnston, that was awesome. We recognized in July. And congrats to our track performers. We had 8th in the state, and one student got at Bradsport got 2 second place finishes, right? That's exciting. And baseball did well in the playoffs too as well. Anything else? All right. Our work session discussion, scheduling upcoming events. Our next regular scheduled board meeting is scheduled for June 19th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Next on the agenda is executive session may be called for purposes permitted by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.071 through 551.146, Section 551.071 consultation with attorney, Section 551.071 on any agenda item, Section 551.72 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, Section 551.074 personnel matters, appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, dismissal, and complaint, Section 551.082 for the purposes of considering discipline of public school child or complaint or charge against personnel, and board team building and training. We will return shortly.
No.
Probably not. Probably be a while. You're more than welcome to leave. That's it. Thank you.
Unless anybody objects to consent adjournment,
Where were?
time is 9:41.